Hey, Fearless family. As I'm recording this, I am walking through our woods at the cabin, and this is my happy place. It's where I come to slow down and to breathe and pray and process what God is doing in my life. And this week, there has been so much to process in the very, very best way. Our family has spent this week really getting to know Celeste, my brother-in-law, Stephen's biological daughter. Celeste was adopted by a wonderful family in Canada as a baby. And after more than 2 decades apart, she and Stephen have finally met face to face. This means we have also had the incredible gift of meeting and welcoming a niece we did not get the opportunity to know until now. We spent a lot of our time together here in Hatton. So this place now holds some of our very first memories with Celeste. And so it felt fitting just walking through these woods as I opened up this episode and processed everything God has done to bring her here. It's been a little while since I've released a podcast episode, and I've intentionally taken a break from podcasting. But when Stephen and Celeste wanted to sit down and share their story, I truly was honored to record it. And they didn't want to share their story simply because it was remarkable. They wanted people to see God's hand in every part of it, even through complicated circumstances, misunderstandings, years of waiting, unanswered questions, and things that didn't really happen exactly the way anyone expected. God was still working. And before we begin, I want to just ask you to have a little grace with the sound quality. I didn't have my normal podcasting equipment. I let someone borrow it. But this was one of those moments that it just felt too important to miss. I just feel like the heart of this conversation matters far more than the production quality. So also, you can listen to just the audio of this podcast, but this is one of those ones that you're probably going to want to watch on YouTube. So in this episode, you are going to hear a beautiful story about adoption, redemption, forgiveness, facing the fear of rejection, and trusting God's timing. It's a reminder that even when we cannot see what God is doing, He is still carefully putting the pieces together. Sometimes something incredibly beautiful is waiting on the other side of doing it afraid. So here you go. Here's the story of my brother-in-law, Stephen, and the daughter he waited decades to finally hug, my new niece, Celeste. Enjoy this podcast.
All right, Stephen, so we're going to start with you. So talk to me a little bit about your past and maybe your history and how you got to a place where you have a daughter and you may not have known about her until this point. But
it's a long story, but I can try to give you the short version. So growing up in where I grew up in the Midwest, farm boy, hunting and fishing all the time. It was pretty, we had fun just being out in the outdoors. And so that's the life I lived until college. And then my high school girlfriend, we went to the same school, and she kind of wanted me to change my ways. And she broke up with me, and I finally found out that was why. I kind of lived it's either good or bad, and I didn't do the bad. So I tried to win her back, and I started to do things I normally wouldn't do, to achieve those goals.
So let me just make sure I'm understanding. So you dated a girl that essentially wasn't excited about the good boy. And
she liked the bad boys. Yeah, and I didn't realize that at first. I tried to be that guy for her. I changed my ways, and that so I changed who I was because of someone else's opinion. But I kept living that way after that. So
The bad guy stuff?
yeah, I guess it was working all of a sudden, you know. And
You were getting the attention of women.
yeah, and I thought they were all like that. Apparently, I didn't know. And so, you know, it's not like I had a therapist or anybody telling me that no, there's still good girls that want boys the way you were before. But so yeah, I changed my ways a little bit, and so I, you know, drinking was involved with those things, and so I wasn't used to that. Never had a drop until then, and so all of a sudden the next, you know, 15, 16 years of my life are that way until I stopped completely. And, you know, it's been 10, 11 years now without a drop of alcohol. Back to college, I was on an internship hunt in Canada, you know, getting college credit for my future job that I was going to do as a videographer for a production company out of Granite City, Illinois. I met Kristen, the birth mother, and she was the waitress at a restaurant in Canada, and, you know, kind of had a fling, and I go back to college, and she gets a hold of me through paperwork from, I guess, the lawyer, and the sheriff handed it to me at my college dorm. I'm like, what is going on? And reading this, and it's like, you have a daughter in Canada coming. And so anyway, not coming, she was actually going to stay in Canada, and she was going to give her up for adoption. And so my parents and I were going to try to get her down here, and so I let her know that we would be happy to have her, you know. And so then the story became, well, the dates don't line up from when you were in Canada, and there might be another possible couple fathers. And so I backed off, and I called my mom, and she filled me in on her side of that day. She said Dad was going down the gravel road to go tell his parents that we were having a baby. And he was not wanting to do that, you know what I mean? Like, everyone was very traditional out there. And so, yeah, it was, we had back phones, and she called him on the back phone after she hung up with me. She's like, I have to call your dad right now. And so, and this is her telling me this a few weeks ago. And so she called him, and he turned around, came home, and because they found out, you know, that the baby might not be mine.
Celeste, that hearing how that all went down and that there was excitement on the other side, like, how does that make you feel?
I mean, understandably, yeah, that makes sense. But, like, from my point of view, I always thought that he didn't sign the papers that he would be able to see me. Like, I didn't know how it worked. That's just, like, I grew up knowing that I was adopted. I was close with my birth mom, but was raised by my adoptive parents. And so they always just kind of told me the story of, like, oh, your birth dad lives in Missouri, but he never signed papers, so he was able to see you. And of course, as, like, a kid, I'm not going to be like, what papers? Like, you know, like, I didn't know how it worked, so I just, like, trust them. And, like, yeah, so I didn't even know that he would be excited to meet me.
And to honor Kristen here, who is the birth mom, she had a deep fear that if she perhaps didn't fabricate a story that the lawyer suggested that she fabricate, that she could lose Celeste, that she would never see her again, because we have to remember that we're in America, we're in the United States, and she's in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would have essentially lost everything. So for a mother, you could deeply understand why she would want that, why she would want to come.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate part for you was now you were not able to have those rights to see her.
Mm-hmm.
And for a very long time, you believed that he didn't want to see you.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about that and what that looks like.
Yeah, so growing up, as I said, my parents always, like, I never knew I wasn't adopted. It wasn't like they sat me down and there was a bomb dropped, like, you're adopted. I'm like, what? I always knew, and there's like pictures of me when I was like really little at my birth mom's house and just visiting with her and stuff. And so growing up, like it felt normal to me to be like in my family and stuff, but still like it was different in the sense that like I didn't look like my parents. I had such a stronger personality than my parents. And yeah, so I knew I was different in some ways, and they always like, I don't know, I was like their miracle baby basically, so I always was swelled and treated so like special and yeah, special in their hearts.
Talk about that a little bit, because as we've been able to all talk together, we've seen God's hand in like every piece of your guys' journey and story. And talk about how your parents couldn't have children, and when they say you're a miracle baby, like quick explain that.
Yeah. So my parents met and got married within 6 months of meeting. Well, got engaged 6 months within meeting. So that kind of fast-tracked everything. And then they obviously wanted to start having kids. My mom always wanted to be a mom too. So they started to try, and then they just couldn't. It wasn't working for them to have it. So they went through adoption options, which is in Manitoba, where I'm from. And I don't know if they have it elsewhere in Canada, probably. I don't know. Anyways, an adoption agency. They had to go through a bunch of different paperwork to like actually be able to go through the process. So it involved like background checks and like intense like interviews of like what you do, even like your religion, like all of that type of stuff. It took them months to get everything collected, and then yeah, they like put in their like paperwork, and Kristen, my birth mom, was able to like decide between like a few different families who she thought would be fit for what she hoped her daughter would be growing up around. And she picked my parents, and this is actually a crazy story. So they met Kristen and everything. I think this was like maybe the second time meeting her. She was getting closer to her due date with me, and they were going over baby names. So for boys' names, my parents had picked out Carson, and then for girls' names, they picked out Celeste. And well, they're telling Kristen this, and Kristen's jaw drops, and she's like, my girl name is Celeste. So it was almost like it was meant to happen. And yeah, so
that's really sweet.
Yeah,
it's really sweet. So you are adopted into this incredible family, mom and dad that love you fiercely, give you the world. You're their princess, and you start growing up, and as children do, they want to know where they came from, right? You always knew who Kristen was, but you began to have just kind of thoughts about Stephen.
Yeah.
You didn't know it was Stephen at this point, right? And all along, Stephen would have like literally died to have a relationship with you. But it was just one of those situations where, because you were in Canada and you guys were here, that it was just safer to not have any interaction. But there comes a time where he does reach out, right? And that message gets to Celeste. Is that correct? Walk me through that time.
I think that my parents actually reached out to Kristen.
Okay.
And they just wanted to make sure that I was getting to an age where I was like becoming conscious, and they just wanted to make sure that if I had interest in reaching out, because this whole time I thought that he wasn't able to reach out, or like he didn't sign papers to be able to like have a relationship.
Like there was a legal block.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
So they reached out to Kristen to reach out to Stephen to make sure that if I were to ever reach out, that he would be open to it, so that if I decided on my own to do it, they could at least warn me if he wasn't so open to it.
Got it.
So that I wouldn't feel sad and rejected. But then Kristen reached out to Stephen, and he emailed her back with this letter telling me about his life and what his interests are, that kind of thing. And then I think he left a phone number and was like tell her to call me.
You finally get an opportunity where you almost like you have permission to reach out to her, and so you're reaching out. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind? Like, she said that you talked about interest and all of that stuff, but like, do you remember having like I cannot wait for this to finally go through kind of feeling?
Yeah, I was landing in Alaska, and it was when I was communicating with Kristen right then, and I was going there for a moose hunt for 10 days, and we were going to fly out the next morning on a bush plane, and all of a sudden, through the Pinterest app, which I didn't even realize there was messaging in that, but that's how she found me. And so we were messaging back and forth right then through Messenger. And so, yeah, it was really cool. And I was like trying to send her pictures of my kids, and then I was asking questions about what she wants to be when she grows up and things like that, you know, because she was almost in high school, I think, at that time. And so it was pretty exciting. And then I get back out of the bush from the moose hunt. And it was just crickets for like 7-8 years until I was in New Zealand this last spring. And
well, let's time out, because there was a cool part on her side of this now, because so you send that and you're like, finally I get to have interaction with my daughter that I haven't had a life with, right? And at this point you get the letter, right? Mm-hmm. And you decide to write him a letter, but not send it.
It was a letter to my journal.
Hey, I'm glad that she did that though, because I can't wait to hear that.
So Celeste she's willing to share her journal right now, which I think is such a special moment that, you know, you guys get to see into. And so do we know the date? Is it dated?
06, 07, 18. I think. I can't read that. I wrote my age. I was 15.
And to set it up again, Stephen had reached out through Pinterest
8 years ago.
through Kristen, and there was almost like this doorway open to start communication. Mm-hmm. But you weren't quite ready to like open your heart completely, but you did journal what you would say to him. And so here's that journal.
I'll also just add, like, my parents didn't tell me that they were reaching out to Kristen, because it was more so just if I'd ever had interest. And then they just kind of like sprinkled like the idea of like, oh, do you ever think about like reaching out to him? And I was like, no, I didn't think I was able to. And then they were like, well, like, we talked to Kristen, and then he sent you a letter, and this is what he said. And so it was just like kind of like a wave of like, oh, hey. So this is my thoughts as a 15-year-old.
15.
15. Titled, Dear Birth Father. Stephen, I didn't even know your name until this year. My whole life, I've known I was adopted. As a kid, I never questioned it. For me, it was normal, of course. All my friends that I've grown up with have normal parents and a normal life. And yes, I have always felt different from them, but in a good way. My parents have always made sure that I was happy and felt special while growing up. They're awesome. Anyway, growing up, I always knew Kristen and my little siblings, Justice and Avery. All I ever really knew about you was that you weren't in the picture, and I got the impression that you never would be. So when my mom gave me your letter, reading your words that spoke about wanting to be here to see me become a successful young woman, I was caught off guard. After I read your letter over and over, I had to do what any kid my age would do. I whipped out my iPhone 7 Plus and looked you up on Instagram. I found out that within the past 14 years, you've had 3 other kids. Congrats, they're adorable. I know life can get pretty busy, but I hope you meant what you said in that letter, because I am very eager to meet you. Instagram pictures can only get a decent idea as what someone really looks like. But I understand if you have forgotten about me. It's easy to forget someone you've never met. Speaking of meeting people, leads me to a question. How come you never handed in the papers so that I could meet you? I understand you live in Missouri, which is quite far from Winnipeg. But just knowing that you existed and might have cared a little bit would have helped me while growing up. Oh well, I'm okay. And if anything, the whole situation has made me stronger. Now, if it's okay, I'm going to talk about myself. Currently, I am 15 years old, and my life couldn't get any better. I have plenty of friends, a few different jobs, and I've been catering weddings for 3 years. I just got a new summer job at Lilac Resort where my family has a trailer / seasonal. I work in the canteen. I babysit now and then in the winter, and I ref hockey games. With all that money rolling in, I was able to afford my own new car last year. I know it's weird that I bought a car before I could even drive, but I like to be ahead of the game. I play hockey, softball, and badminton. I'm thinking of starting basketball and volleyball, and maybe even rugby if Mom lets me. Hockey is my sport. It's my passion. I love it. I do very well in school. I get on the honor roll every year, and am very hard on myself when I do not get distinction. You wanted to talk about careers? I already know where I'm going after high school. I'm going to the medical field. I'm not sure where I'll specifically end up, so maybe you can help me out with that one day. I pursue and worship God like you do. I don't go to churches as often as I should, but I pray every night before going to sleep and continue to build a relationship with our Heavenly Father every day. As I grow up, I continue to wonder more and more about you. I hope that someday I'll be lucky enough to meet you. I hope you feel the same way.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, Stephen, hearing all of those words and hearing that she was thinking about you and she did want to meet you and was hoping that you were serious about meeting her someday, like, how does it feel to know that she was writing that and it's maybe just a delayed letter?
Yeah, it really hits the heart pretty good. Like, I don't know, try not to get emotional right now. But it's I didn't even know she was bringing that. Like, she kind of surprised me with that one.
There are so many people that have gone for adoption, or they have never met their biological parents, or there's drama around that whole story, right? Clearly there was miscommunications in the midst of your adoption story, and that had a way that it could have created some bitterness and unforgiveness for you on your side. Talk through how you've just made peace with the fact that you know that Kristen did what she needed to do, but also that you lost that time of quote unquote being a father to her. You have come to peace with the fact that it's not worth it to dwell on the past, to blame people.
Yeah, no, I immediately after I first met her on the phone for a couple, over 2 hours we talked, and I was in New Zealand at the time, and then I told my wife a couple days later that, you remember that, knock on the door that I told you we'd get, like when we were dating, 22 years ago? I'm like, it's happened, and basically, but through social media. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, Celeste and I have talked, like my daughter from Canada, like we're talking, and she's like, what? And so she knew the whole time about it all, and it was always prepared that I'd get that knock on my door one day, and it came in a different route, of course, because God has different plans for everything, and the way things are supposed to happen is not always the way you think they're going to happen, obviously. And so it was something that, it was kind of weird for her for a couple days, and then she kind of made peace with it because she realized that I may have never met her, because I may have been raising a child all these years, and I might have switched careers and been doing something totally different. And so, that really helped me forgive Kristen a lot, because it everything happens for a reason, and she got her parents that a baby to raise and a family that couldn't have a child, and and Kristen got to be close by and kind of be a part of all that as the birth mother. I mean, who wouldn't want that? And then I kind of got to enjoy my fun career all these years and find an independent woman that could put up with me for all those years and my ups and downs, and made 3 beautiful children, that we have back home. And so Peyton and Blake and Reese. And so anyway, it's just, I wouldn't change anything, and it's just the beauty of what God could do for us.
How about you? How do you feel? Like, any bitterness, any living in the past? Have you made peace with everything?
I definitely have made peace with everything. I think the way I look at it is like, like, you could look at it negatively and be like, well, why would I ever reach out to him? Like, he wanted nothing to do with me, like, you know. But the reason it took so long for me to, like, actually reach out is just because I had to, like, get to a place where I was comfortable enough that if for some reason he didn't want to reach out or, like, didn't want to start a relationship, that I would be okay with that. And going through nursing school, like, I was just hoping that my family members would live through that schooling, because I was like, I cannot handle anything stressful outside of this, because it was just already too much. I feel like it was more of a blessing. My parents are the most deserving people to have a kid. My mom has the biggest heart ever, and my dad would give you the shirt off of his back. Like, they are, like, the strongest people I've ever met, and just, like, they've gone through so much, even just, like, within their marriage, just, like, going through the process of having me, and, like, having to deal with the almost, like, grief that you get that you can't, as a woman, have a child. Like, that's biologically what we do, and knowing that you can't do that is, like, was such a tough pill to swallow for my mom, for sure. And I think it really weighed on her. And then they finally went through the process, and they were able to have me, and I think I'm, like, their biggest blessing, and God really did, like, bring us together. And then, like, yeah, they're just so deserving of everything good.
And since this is a fearless podcast, talk about how when you were 15, you felt safe to write it in your journal, but not safe enough to reach out fully, because there was a fear. You had a fear of rejection. You had a fear of perhaps abandonment, a fear of, like, what if he doesn't love me? What if he doesn't accept me? So you kind of kept it, tight to your chest inside your journal. But then here you are, ready to start your successful life, your career in medical nursing, and you're 24 years old, and it's like, okay, I'm ready. Like, and you did it, and you reached out, and you faced your fears, and you did it afraid. What advice would you have to maybe somebody that is scared to reach out to their biological family, or to bring family together? Like, what advice would you give them?
When you ruminate on it as long as I did, I think you just have to just push yourself. And I feel like I couldn't have done it without being with Jack, because I knew that, like, he would support me through anything. And I didn't tell him.
That's your boyfriend, right?
Yeah, Jack's my boyfriend. I don't think that I could have done it without, like, him as my support system, because of course my parents would support me through it too, but it's just a whole different, like, obviously relationship with Jack, that, like, I just knew that I feel safe with him. I feel safe within my life mostly because of him. So I just felt comfortable and ready to take the step of reaching out. So I owe Jack a big thanks for that. But something beautiful can come out of something so scary. And I think that even if it didn't work out, I think that there would still be a lesson there to learn, that God's plan is, like, what's meant to happen. And luckily it turned out to be a great thing for me. And I feel like I have, like, 3 families now, 4. Like, I just feel so, like, lucky and blessed, and, like, I couldn't be more thankful for how it turned out. And, like, if you're scared, like, there is, like, the best possible option could happen, and it did.
And it's worth it to take a chance.
It's so worth it.
It's worth it. I mean, I know I, for one, have been so blessed to meet you, and I know Troy feels the same way, and my kids feel the same way, and this whole week has been a week, like my calendar says, Celeste in town. It's like, just like Celeste gets the whole week where we're all trying to get to know you, because we're making up for lost time. And that's what's just so special and so beautiful. And I love your mindset, like, do it afraid, and what if something beautiful is on the other side of reaching out. And it has been So beautiful. Are you still fighting back tears, Stephen?
No,
I love it.
it's just a really cool God story the whole time before we even knew it was, because her parents had a prayer, and he was answering it, and he put me on a plane to go to Canada and help him answer, take care of the problem. No one had any clue what was going on, and it's all kind of, pieces of the puzzle are completed now, so it's a really cool thing.
It is a cool story, and I don't think you're negating the fact that you had a wild side that you're grateful that God has helped you through, right?
Right.
You're not negating that.
No.
But you see, even in our frailty, even in our mess, God can make it beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's what I see. I think that's what's so beautiful from all of this. So
because I have her and my family at home, and I wouldn't have all those things for sure.
mm-mm.
And now I get it all. So, to be a part of all that is more than I could ever ask for.
And Stephen, to honor you, you did the hard work. You realized that alcohol was a problem in your life.
Yeah.
And you went to rehab.
Yeah.
And so that season of your life that
figured out where it started and went back to who I was before that. It's that easy. Went a lot of prayers and family love and attention and trust to get through it all.
and it really
Friends,
has
too.
been an honor to watch you get to the root and find the root and stay strong. And you've never gone back since then.
It's
And
pretty
so
cool.
it is.
Yeah.
It is cool.
I wouldn't have told you that was possible. Yeah.
Maybe speak to the person that is dealing with addiction right now. Somebody that is struggling to get to the root of why they keep going back to alcohol.
You mean I'm not the only one out there? It's really cool. What do you want me to tell them? Just to believe it, don't give up.
What advice would you give them?
Pray about it. Get the people that can be on your side to help you, through it. Get professional help and take it serious. And just remember it's your life that you're fighting for.
It's really good. Because there was confusion around your and Kristen's story, people might say, well, how are you 100% certain that Celeste is your child? And how would you guys answer that?
Obviously, there's a lot of things, and some of them were a little different. I wear my heart on my sleeve, like my daughter Peyton, Reese, my youngest, and Celeste are the opposite. And, she took a ball in the leg and the bruises that big and didn't shed a tear. I've never seen Reese cry. She's had wires sticking out of her broken fingers at the doctors with surgery and never cried a tear. Yeah, so, it's funny how that works. But, I in jewelry class in college, I had a couple of years of that and made a ring and a lot of rings. But I had one on. I went to Canada on that trip and left it with Kristen, and she gave it to Celeste. And so 2 months ago, Celeste and Peyton and I were together for the first time, and we were sitting there looking at pictures, and Peyton pulls out this one of welding in shop class in high school, and she's like, let's check out my welding. And I'm like, you got that for me? I did soldering and stuff with jewelry in college, and she heard me talking about that right then, and she's like, I got one of your rings.
I'm like, Chris, did you make a ring ever?
Oh, yeah.
Was it?
I was like, I have it.
Was it seriously like a moment like that's
Yeah, I was
Steven's
like,
ring?
yeah. I was like, wait a second. Because I was like, oh, you do photography, but I didn't realize, all the other, adventures you had before.
Yeah.
So
Kristen gave her a ring
Yeah.
that I made and she's
and
had
you've
it.
had it all this time.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And to me, those are moments that Kristen was signifying that, Stephen, you've always been the one that she
There
had
wasn't
to
anyone else.
protect.
Yeah, she
So
wanted
that-
to keep her close to home.
Yes,
Mhm.
and that it's just so clear. Besides the fact that there's characteristics and your children that are very similar, you put Peyton and Celeste right next to each other, you're like, whoa,
Whoa.
what's going on
Yeah,
here?
if you put Peyton on a 6-inch bar stool, yeah, they look exactly the same. And
You
she
are
dyed
a lot taller than the Bullwinkle girls. Can we be honest
and
about
she
that?
dyed her hair a little bit. She's
I used to be blonde. I used to have his hair.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of darkened for us. Yeah, me too.
But-
Blake's hair is very blonde. He's got the light stuff.
There are all of that, but at the end of the day, I think when I sit with you guys, it's like when you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I feel like you both have the knowing that nothing is going to change this, that this is something that you know God brought you back together again.
100%.
And you feel 100% confident about this.
100%.
And I think it is one of the coolest, most beautiful God stories ever.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell someone that is adopted? What encouragement or hope would you give them?
Just to embrace what you have in front of you and don't be afraid of what you don't know. Like, have the courage to reach out, but don't rush it if you don't feel like you're ready for it. Because I feel like if I would have reached out sooner, I don't know, just like the timing of it was what it was supposed to be. You can't dwell on the past and missed out memories. Like, you just create new ones now, whenever you're ready to, though.
What would you do differently, or what advice would you give to somebody listening to the story right now?
Just sit back and be patient. Like I'm in the deer stand. That's what I do. I video hunting. I practice patience with that career 200 plus days a year. And so this was the most patience I had to have ever. But just to pray about it, and things will be answered eventually. The wise.
When you guys finally got to embrace and see each other physically for the first time, how did you feel? What was that moment like for you?
Well, I honestly just wanted to not let her go, but I didn't want it to. I was worried about not letting her go, and then she leaves and never comes back. So I tried to play cool with like a 2-second hug, like, nice to see you. Actually, I was walking out of this hotel doorway that slid open, and she was looking back at her parents coming up behind her, and all of a sudden she turns around and I'm right in her face, giving her a
Like, I
hug.
didn't even get to see his face. I just turned, and then he was like there for 2 seconds, and then he was hugging me, and I was like, oh.
More like half a second. It was like
Yeah.
probably not how either of us envisioned it. So, but that's the way this whole story's gone. So of
None
course
of it has been like how you thought it would be.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot. Is there anything that you feel like we missed? Anything that you feel like you want people to know? Something that maybe is still on your heart?
I can't wait for everyone to meet her tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I
Yeah.
don't know when this will air, but you guys are seeing this one day before Stephen and Rachel are hosting a huge party so that we all get to meet Celeste.
Yeah, it's like, normally you just have the family get together from like maybe one side or half of one side, and this is like all of the family, like a wedding, but then it's like all of the friends and the church friends and like as many people as we could possibly invite and the kids' friends. And so she's like, how many are coming? And I'm like, I don't know.
100 to 300.
And that's just a rough estimate.
Right.
That may or may not be close. That it could be more or less. But I mean,
getting
some
name
of them got
tags.
invited late, and some of them got invited sooner. And so, like, I just wanted everyone to feel welcome if they want to come or if they can come to meet her. So.
Absolutely. How do you feel about the shindig and how we're all excited to meet you?
I'm equally as excited to meet everyone. It's a little bit overwhelming, but like that's only because like I just want to make sure that I like remember everybody's names and like who they are and what they do.
We gotta do name tags.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Now, the part that I'm most excited about it is this banana cream amazing Winnipeg cake that's
Jeannie's
like
cake.
oblong and like
Mm-hmm.
so like
Yeah.
I can't wait to
She
dig
brought
into
2 of
that.
them.
Celeste, I said this off camera, but I would like to say it on camera because I really feel like the moment I met you, there was something very special about you. You have just this quiet confidence that kind of just makes you feel at peace. And I also feel like God wants to use your story, and He wants other people to know that He is faithful and He is good, even when maybe you don't know what's going to happen next. And I love that you love the Lord. I love that you want people to trust Him. But more so than anything, I think what's so beautiful is your heart. Like how much you care for people. And like when you were sitting with us, you were genuinely interested in us and our life just as we were interested in you. And so I'm so thankful I have a niece that I get to know a little bit better now.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So, Fearless family, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. And I hope that at the end of the day that you are encouraged, that even if you don't know what's on the other side of the story, that God is still faithful and God is still good. And hopefully this is an indicator that really good things can happen even out of maybe a messy situation.